I mean, I know he's 42 or 41.
Are you going to say MVP?
No, I think he's going to have a big year this year, and I hope it's in our town.
Okay, so that you can react to either thing, his new contract or the fact that he wants Aaron Rodgers.
Or that he has a painting of the single highlight of his whole football career behind him, sacking Patrick Mahomes. No, I like Maxx Crosby. It is the highlight of his whole career, but I do also really like Maxx Crosby. So the money thing is very simple. This is why we said, Micah, Jamar, get it done, because now there's a new high watermark. Now it's $35.5 million, right? 106.5 divided by 3, 35.5 million is the new high watermark for non-quarterbacks. So now you got that to jump over. As far as Aaron in Vegas, I do not think any team should sign Aaron Rodgers until after the draft. There is not because I think there is so much uncertainty about what quarterback. It seems like a very safe bet that Cam Ward is not getting out of the top 3. Everything else seems like really depends on who you ask, what day it is, all of it. So I would not, if I were any team that wants a quarterback, prioritize Aaron so much that I feel like it kind of ties my hands a bit come draft day if a guy starts falling that I didn't think was going to be available. So no, the Raiders have the 7th pick of the draft. Or the 6th pick of the draft? I don't remember.
6, I think.
6th pick of the draft, pardon me. No, of course they shouldn't sign Aaron Rodgers when likely they're going to be able to get the 2nd quarterback of the draft there, whomever that is.
Look, with the quarterback play that they've had recently, I get where Maxx Crosby's coming from, but no, I don't like Aaron Rodgers there at all. Rodgers is not lifting a bad team to greatness. I know, and while Pete Carroll will have a good culture, it's still right now there's no culture there. And then you put Aaron Rodgers into that, so he could maybe establish his own culture, which I don't think you want. I said it before, I say it again. There's one place for him, Pittsburgh. That's where he should go. And that's who should want him, Pittsburgh Steelers. I think you make a good point. Like if the Steelers could draft Shedeur at, 21 or wherever it is, I mean, but still, maybe you even want a Rodgers still as a veteran to help Shedeur along in his rookie year. But I think that's where Rodgers should go. I don't like him. I actually like Russell Wilson better with the Raiders just because of Pete, and all that, than Rodgers.
Well, and because Russell Wilson was probably better than Aaron last year. Certainly a better leader.
I think Russ wanted to go to Vegas. Remember when we were first kicking this all around?
Yes, back when Brandon was on the show 5 years ago.
Well, I don't know if Russ and Pete really like each other. I mean, that kind of didn't end great.
Maybe they
reconciled.
I mean, maybe they'll get back together. And the problem with not having a quarterback going into the draft is then it's like shopping hungry. Now you're thinking, okay, we got to fill this void. So at least if you filled the void with someone that can be viable through the season, that you think you can win with, and maybe that's Aaron for Las Vegas. I don't know if it is or not. Then you go into the draft, and if there's a guy you like or somebody fall, you have more flexibility. So that's why you do it prior to it. I don't like them there either. They gave up 50 sacks last year, which was 5th in the league. They were 32nd in running the ball. So this is a worse situation than what New York was. Now you're going into a division where 3 out of the 4 teams made the playoffs, highly competitive division. So there's that downside. They have enough money to do it. They've got flexibility from that standpoint. He would be with Brock Bowers, which he should have been with at the Jets last year. I don't know if you guys are talking about that. Probably would have helped him. And ironically, Devontae Adams will still have a presence on the team with his $15 million in dead money from him getting cut. So that's positive too. But it's just I like Maxx Crosby. I love his enthusiasm. He's always so positive. I don't know if I see it as optimistically as he does that fit in Las Vegas.
Okay, so let's turn our attention to Devontae.
Okay. They talk about the Green Bay Packers, nothing to do with Vegas. Okay. I've thought about wanting to take this in 2 different directions because I had made a Aaron Rodgers Las Vegas video with the Herd yesterday, and kind of talking about the pros and cons of that video, and I don't want to rehash that. So I was like contemplating, like, maybe I'll just make the argument why Aaron should go to Vegas or should not, rather than just trying to like look at it from kind of both sides. But to me, I just can't get beyond the foundation of what are the Raiders looking to do? What are they looking to build? Because Brew even brings up, he brings up, even if you draft a quarterback, it's good to have Aaron there. Now, I'm so concerned of the personality of Aaron Rodgers that if you have a young rookie quarterback who you draft, like, I would be so, every time I see them talking to the side, as a coach, I would genuinely be uncomfortable. I really would, because I have no idea what he's saying to him. No idea. Are they actually talking football? Are they actually talking about mechanics and X's and O's and little tips and tricks and this and that? Or is he telling him all the ways that he can cut corners, all the things, don't believe in this, don't believe in that? I just don't know what he's actually saying to him. So I don't know if a young quarterback really learns from someone like an Aaron Rodgers in that regard. I really don't, especially at this point in his career. I just don't. I think you're better off learning from a Alex Smith level quarterback, a Kirk Cousins level quarterback, someone who's really taking that role to heart, someone who truly has, the success and goodwill of the young player, that's important to them, honestly, someone who's like a parent, someone who actually knows what it's like to teach and lead, because that's often what it takes. So no, Aaron is just not the person where I'm just like, oh, it'll still be good even if you get him, then you can draft someone. If someone falls to you, you can have him learn behind Aaron. Like, I don't know about that. I really don't. That's why I kind of keep saying, like, to me, it's all about Aaron in terms of, like, the conversations that I have with him. Like, it would actually be a legitimate interview with him. I want to have real discussion with him. Get a real strong sense of, like, who are you as a person and what are you looking to do? I think they all kind of bring up interesting points. Mangini talking about, listen, this team was kind of a mess to begin with, and now you're bringing Aaron into a worse situation. But you have to imagine that the situation that the Raiders are in now is going to be significantly better moving forward than it was previously, just by virtue of having Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly. So, like, that kind of falls on deaf ears there. And I'm just not going to say, oh, look what Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew did as a frame of reference of what Aaron Rodgers will be able to do. So that kind of means something. The lack of run support is obvious, a big deal. And that's why I do understand what Nick is saying too, in terms of waiting till after the draft. But I don't know. This is where it's got to be different when none of us are really privy to this information because we don't really know what's actually going on. So for all we know, there's a real chance that Aaron will be scooped up. And so if the Raiders actually really do want Aaron, or they're thinking about it, waiting till after the draft would be a big mistake. But I do understand what Nick is saying, where it's kind of like, listen, man, like, anyone can fall in your lap in this draft. And I agree. Someone recently asked me, oh, how do you feel about getting so-and-so in the draft? And I said, man, I'm not even sharing my opinions in terms of the draft because in terms of where people can go, because it's such a mess. Like, last season, it really felt like we had a really good idea, especially with the quarterbacks and the order of them. Like, we were all, for the most part, pretty confident where things were going to go. Obviously not exactly, not team to team to team and player to player to player, but it just seemed a lot more straightforward. This season, this draft, I mean, I don't even know how we could even remotely predict, honestly. I mean, and the problem is it's such a domino effect. It'll have such ripple effects in this one. So it's just like, I have zero idea who's going to be available. Zero. I really don't. I have no idea. So it's just like, I don't know what you do with that. And that's why my whole thing goes to, what are the Raiders looking to do this coming season, as well as the next couple of seasons? What is the objective? When they come into this season and they're thinking, this offseason right now, and they're saying, all right, we're planning for 2025, September onward. What are we looking to do? What is our process? What is our timeline? What are our objectives? That has to be so clearly defined. If you're trying to restore some balance and even try to stabilize the team, then sure, getting an Aaron Rodgers can be, decent for sure. Just getting some wins under your belt, getting some stability, right? You're still putting your eggs in an older, slightly quirky quarterback, but you're still going to trust that when you talk football, he speaks the language. And, that matters considering who they've had at the quarterback position. There will be 100% zero learning curve. But if you're looking at, we can kind of really build something where we think that we can be better sooner rather than later, then going out and getting a Sam Darnold, because you'll probably be able to get him for a, definitely a cheaper deal than any of the other top market quarterbacks. So that alone now is you're going to be getting a really good quarterback at a discount. That's huge. And you're going to get a quarterback who you absolutely can win. He's proven that. And if you say, oh, well, it was really just the team. He's really not that good. It was just a team. It's like, well, then you can't build a good team. You can't build a team as good as what the Minnesota Vikings were. Like, is that what you're saying? Because if you can't do that, well, then you can't play football. And then why do any of this then? So there you go. He's already shown you he can win 14 games with a good team. Boom. The Vikings could take that. The Raiders would take that. And not to mention, I think he could continue to win even more, quite frankly. Give him a better team. He can win playoff games and can compete. There you go. And then the other option is obviously drafting a quarterback. But then recognizing, hey, you're gonna lose some games. It's gonna get wonky. It's gonna be uneven. It's gonna be a little up and down. The chances of you being able to draft a quarterback and have very quick success, I guess, and that's the problem. It depends on what quarterback they can have. For all I know, they're going to be able to get a quarterback that nobody saw coming. And it was like, oh my God, how did said quarterback fall to the Raiders? It's like, I have no idea. That's why it's harder to see. It was more obvious when we were like, all right, Caleb's going to Chicago. Jaden's going to Washington. I was able to already think what Jaden's going to do with Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn, et cetera, et cetera. It was easier to kind of put those pieces together. I feel less about that with how this draft is unfolding, and I really don't want to talk about a random quarterback, about the potential with the Raiders, like they mentioned, Shedeur Sanders. There's a great chance that he does not go to the Raiders. Then it's like, what am I, then I don't want to waste my time talking about that. It was a safe bet because even if the Bears pulled a fast one on everyone and drafted Jaden over Caleb, so much of the takes that were said about, if I was having a take about the Washington Commanders or something and Jaden Daniels, it's so much of an easier pivot to now Caleb Williams and start to talk about Caleb and Cliff Kingsbury, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we're just in the awkward part of the season right now. But I think if you're a team and you're contemplating getting Aaron Rodgers, you're probably not in the best situation, quite frankly. That's why, to me, for the most part, Sam Darnold is kind of a no-brainer. Because if you don't make Sam Darnold work, it means a couple things. It means, one, you're not building a good enough team. Or two, it means you hired the wrong coaches. I mean, Chip Kelly wasn't the right OC. And Pete Carroll wasn't a good coach, good defensive hire. Because we've seen what he's capable of doing. So at the very least, it's a barometer of like, are you actually building something? Are you actually moving in the right direction? Did you hire the right coaches? I think they did hire the right coaches, which is why I think he would have success. The rest is just building the appropriate team, getting to work, fixing that defense, getting healthy, obviously, getting a better O-line, protecting your quarterback, and run game. I mean, that's just, it's pretty basic. It's pretty elementary. There's no other like grandiose take that could be like earth-shattering, quite frankly. especially at this time of the season, but really for any team. There's no like cutthroat, ruthless moves for the Raiders to make. They're going to make a play for, obviously not available, but like a Saquon Barkley, and they're going to get a Myles Garrett, and then they're going to sign, Aaron Rodgers. It's just like there's no like collection of moves that they can just completely revamp this team right now. It's just not available to them. So that's why I keep saying, what are the expectations for this season? What do you believe based off the circumstances of the team you have and the team that you have the potential to build, whether through free agency, draft, etc.? What is the best case scenario? What is the best case scenario? And, does the best case scenario for this season, does that complement year 2, year 3, year 4? Or is it opposed to that? Because sometimes your best case scenario this season actually pushes up against the future. So you just got to see where the incentives lie. Which is why, to me, it just, it just becomes murky. I think what the Raiders do is going to be so fascinating because it's going to signal to us what they believe they have and what they believe, what they're hoping to accomplish, quite frankly. If they get a Sam Darnold, they're looking a little bit more long term. If they get an Aaron Rodgers, they're looking for short term, and they believe that they can kind of win some games now. Because also, if you could win some, if you didn't think that you had a real chance to win some games now, then you wouldn't even waste your time with an Aaron Rodgers. So like that's why what they do is actually really going to signal to everyone, the team they have today and the team that they're looking to build tomorrow. So hopefully we can get more information sooner rather than later. More stuff happens. Obviously, we have to wait for the draft and some other free agency moves. But, right now we really are just stuck in the ultimate football purgatory. And it's just, just continues to be a weird place to be in, honestly. I feel like March is probably one of like the hardest months to talk about football because it's just like we're just too far away. And now we're officially further removed from last season, where last season doesn't even feel like it matters anymore. It's like, who cares about last season? Like, it's over. The Super Bowl came and went. Everyone already celebrated. The Super Bowl parades have already been done. It's all over now. And so it's like last season may as well have been 5 seasons ago. And so now you're just kind of stuck in here. So it's going to be interesting. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Las Vegas Raiders? Do you want Aaron Rodgers? Do you want them, should they wait and try to draft someone? Should they just wait to see who's available? Sam Darnold? Like, this is where I really want to hear from Raiders fans, and obviously non-Raiders fans, but like, what do you think the best course of action is here, to get a franchise like this back on track to being truly relevant? Because I am so confident that based off my interactions with this fan base, the NFL will be significantly more hyped and energetic if the Raiders can get on track and be competitive. I mean, the fights and the back and forth between the Raiders fans and like, the Chiefs and the Broncos and and just going up against teams like the Bills and the Ravens. I mean, like, it's just, I'm telling you, man, those fan bases have the potential just to clash, and the conversations are just gonna, be crazy, and it's what we started to see with the Lions and the Eagles and the Commanders and the Eagles, because the Eagles have been, a lot more consistent than those teams over the last, X amount of years. Now those franchises are starting to finally kind of come back, and it's just like, ooh, these conversations, watching these fan bases go back and forth are, pretty entertaining. You see it with the Bills and the Ravens, the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens. Like, the Broncos, the Raiders have that ability to like enter back in this conversation where like, things get a little crazy, and football can be a lot more interesting when it gets a little crazy, especially when you're rolling up deep in the comment section. So let me know in the comments below. I'll read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.